Hey, it's the Daily Dope's first episode, and what we're going to talk about today is the DEA's decision to continue to treat marijuana like it's the same thing as a drug that has no medicinal value, such as methamphetamine or heroin. One might argue that those substances also have medicinal values, but according to the DEA, they don't, and neither does marijuana. Well, first of all, maybe it's because they're calling it marijuana, like a propagandist term invented to demonize the drug back in the day, using racist overtones and propaganda aimed to frighten white people because this was a drug favored by Mexican immigrants and black jazz musicians. But anyway, what if they just said, okay, marijuana, yeah, we're going to keep that on Schedule 1. That's fine. But cannabis and what you call cannabinoids are in fact proven to be medicinal in too many ways to mention on this short clip, but so far almost half of the states have medical marijuana laws that are already enacted and have been, have been up and running for years, in some cases decades, without incident, without anybody, without any major problems. I don't know what you'd call a medical marijuana problem. People are feeling better, not taking prescription drugs, and fewer people getting involved in traffic fatalities because more people are using marijuana than alcohol because it's more legal to use marijuana. Say, like, if you're at a party or something, like if you're drinking, eventually you're going to have to go home. Which means you're probably going to have to drink and drive, unless you have some kind of a friend that don't drink, that just likes to hang out with a bunch of crazy drunks all the time. I personally don't know anybody like that myself, but yeah, it's really hard to find a designated driver, because usually those people don't want nothing to do with a bunch of drunks on the weekend. Anyway, back to the DEA. So the DEA could have made a decision to take marijuana off of the Schedule 1 classification that it's been on since the DEA was formed, since the drug war really got started by Nixon and all this. Before it was the DEA, it was something else, and before that it was something else, and it all leads back to the prohibition movement of alcohol, which is what it really was in the first place, which is always a control valve by the government. So prohibition in general is something that it's really hard to root out, because it builds up a bureaucracy around it, and then the corruption forms around that, and it becomes such entrenched into the way that law enforcement works, and then you have the prison industrial complex, which is building prisons and stocking prisons with people and warehousing people, and they got to have a reason to do all that. They can't do something crazy like make pornography illegal or something. They got to have something that sounds bad that they can, make people go to jail for. And marijuana has led to millions of people with criminal records, millions of people incarcerated for non-violent drug offenses such as selling marijuana, possessing too much marijuana, whatever. None of it affects other people, so what's the problem, you think? Well, the problem is that marijuana actually is medicine. Wow. I bet you didn't know that. Everybody that I know that uses medicinal marijuana stopped using all their prescription drugs. Everybody that I know that uses medicinal marijuana manages their drinking habits and whatnot. It's not a problem or whatever. Like, even if you know somebody that abuses marijuana. It's still just medicine. They're not really hurting nobody else, and they're probably doing good things for themselves, although their lungs might get a little tired from all that dabbing. So the DEA is firm on saying that marijuana and heroin should be in the same classification as no medicinal value. I can't even wrap my head around, that kind of archaic thinking, but, it's par for the course for a corrupt government that is beholden to interests such as, we talked about the pharmaceutical industry, but what about the alcohol lobby and the alcohol industry as a whole? You got literally, most people at least drink, or more than half of the people in this country will have a drink or two once in a while. Alcohol is so accepted. It's served in restaurants. You can have a liquor shot with your steak dinner. But when it comes to the alcohol interests and lobbies, they are deeply entrenched in the lobby of the government in many ways. Like a lot of these alcohol laws are really something that they had to negotiate with the alcohol lobby. Even drinking and driving laws, even like anything that has to do with minors drinking or advertising and all this stuff. This is all like this alcohol lobby works to try to get more leverage against the government so that they can sell more alcohol. That's what their purpose is. And one of their biggest investments in recent years, as revealed by WikiLeaks recently, is that they spend a lot of time and money to try to thwart efforts to legalize or legitimize marijuana, either through the idea that it's safer than alcohol, safe in general, or that it's medicine. So yeah, they're leading the way on that. They're probably leading the lobby groups 2-1 on all the other groups. And another big group would probably be the textile industry, the paper company, the paper barons are still the same people that ran marijuana into illegality, the Hearst company, and people that are related to that to this day. DuPont, a chemical company that replaced all the things you can do with marijuana with plastic. So it's not just on the outside you're like, oh yeah, it's big pharma, and oh, the DEA is in bed with the FDA and the big pharma people, and you're right, they are. But at the same time, there's many other lobbies that are against it, and if nothing else, want to slow it all down so that they can reach their corrupt fingers in and make their millions of dollars that they want to make off of marijuana when it actually does become completely legitimate and legal. When you go buy your cigarettes at the store, right next to it will be Marlboro marijuana cigarettes or something. That's the vision that they have. So, well, they're not going to be able to get that done just by saying, okay, we're not going to arrest anybody for marijuana anymore from this point forward. That would be like, that would make a lot of people mad that might already have a business plan drawn up to how they're going to make their money off of marijuana. And believe me, the people that are doing this are the same people that I've been fighting my whole life. They're the same people that have been doing everything they can to lock you up for marijuana. So don't ever believe a Republican when they say, oh yeah, we have our own way to get to a marijuana legalization, or even medical marijuana, or anything. No, they don't. They have a bunch of people lined up to make money off of marijuana, and they're just waiting for the time is right. They're making sure that everybody is in coordination with the effort, because everybody will have their way to make money out of it. And now you can already see the pharmaceutical industry getting in on this because of the research that's being done overseas mainly, and the DEA actually grants research permissions to these companies that are big pharmaceutical companies or family owned, and they're in European countries, so they're the ones that get to test marijuana to see the medicinal values of it. They're the ones that get to test products with marijuana components in it and field test it and even have it on the open market. The DEA granted them permission over there in Europe, those, you know, well-connected pharmaceutical companies that are corrupt as hell, that have been giving money to the U.S. government for whatever reason, and yeah, they're the ones that get to do the research while we're sitting here getting arrested, proving that this shit is medicine every day. That was my first ever news report, and I'm gonna keep doing these as much as I can. I'm a pretty busy person. I'm an activist. I'm a medical marijuana caregiver in Michigan, so it's a lot of work just doing that. As you can see, I'm at work right now. I'm always at work. I live there. But I'm going to continue to keep giving you the daily dope, and this has been the daily dope, first episode ever. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was informative. I don't know, it was mostly just a rant, but I feel like if I'm going to start a news show up called the Daily Dope, a couple days after the DEA just said no to marijuana, it has to be about marijuana, because there's no other. It's my most passionate issue. I'm not really gonna deny that I'm pretty passionate about a lot of issues, and I'm out there on the street fighting for a lot of causes. But when it comes down to it, marijuana is where my heart is, and I've seen people get arrested for this. I've seen this ruin people's lives. Not marijuana, but the laws making marijuana a crime. Think about that. The only thing dangerous about marijuana is if you get caught with it. All right, I'm checking out, man. Check it out. First ever, the Daily Dope.